Well, for you, I mean, the beginning was at the beginning, right? So it started with
Right,
was this you and Liv's idea, or how did this all
right.
come about?
Well, to go back to the beginning, Christian Carpenter, since you're sitting across from me, you will well remember the day that we climbed the bell tower of Trinity University and we looked down upon the scene of what's above University Presbyterian Church, bird's eye view. And what you see are the things you'd expect to see: the Trinity University campus spreading out, the campus off in the distance of Incarnate Word, the campus down yonder of San Antonio College, which of course then has the brilliant scene of the dome of Temple Bethel. And as you look around the neighborhood here, what you see are these little patches that are dedicated to education. They are dedicated to education for children's centers, to grammar schools, to high school. The Brighton School is just up the street from us, a completely different mission for young children with disabilities. This is an amazing place, and the University Presbyterian Church has grown in this soil. It is a community of educators. This congregation has long been a community of educators, not only from a theological standpoint, but from a lay standpoint. And so when we were doing our 50th anniversary of the church and contemplating the creation of a center for education to serve this church and its community, Liv McGregor Simmons and I talked about, well, what could be put in this place to serve this community. And so the Soul Center was born out of that conversation with the view of what it is that we intrinsically are, University Presbyterian Church. Recently, I attended the memorial service of Witness to the Resurrection for David Davis, and it had this wonderful image, which we've all seen many times before, but a very recognizable church image, plus the vine encircling the church. The Soul Center is the fruit of the vine. It's the manner by which we, as an institution of University Presbyterian Church, has come together to reflect and nurture the community around us. Not surprisingly, it's very interfaith, interdenominational. One of its first courses sprang out of 9/11 and the realities of a lack of understanding about Islam, about a sense of uncertainty about this brand of fundamentalism that we were seeing versus this ancient religion. And so the Soul Center has been a means by which to engage with the community on larger issues that move beyond just the scope of the Presbyterian Church, move into the greater faith community of San Antonio, such that we have interfaith community leaders like Rabbi Stahl having been with us almost from the very beginning. One of the key people in the early days was the Reverend Dr. Bill Lytle, emeritus pastor of Madison Square Presbyterian Church, the first Soul Center Board of Directors member. We had to create something out of nothing, and we did it by combining our Presbyterian roots, which has a very strong tradition of both the clergy and lay persons. I am a lay person. Christian, you are a lay person, of coming together and sharing our gifts and figuring out how to have this greater dialogue with the community around us. And the Soul Center has been that expression of dialogue in its many, many forms. We should not get concerned about limiting the Soul Center to any one particular thing, because it's not supposed to be one particular thing. In a way, we are, I think, pursuing God's interests in the many ways and forms in which God will call us, and God will call us individually to do those things. So it means we have to be open to many means of expressions amongst ourselves, not only for University Presbyterian Church, but for the broader community. And that's the real miracle of the Soul Center, is that it's focused upon not what we want to say to the community or not what we would have the community do, but rather upon an open discussion and dialogue where points of view may be shared, contrasting viewpoints may be understood, and hopefully new relationships can be had. In my time, we had wonderful relationships with the Reverend Dr. Lewis Black. I'm forgetting his name. I don't mean Lewis Black.
No.
Gosh, who do I mean?
Gosh, I forget.
I'm just completely blanking on the name.
Okay.
Claude Black. There we go. Yeah.
Claude.
Yeah, let me redo that.
Okay.
I'll just seem it. In my time, we had a wonderful relationship with the Reverend Dr. Claude Black, a pillar of the Black Church in San Antonio, and also an elderly man at that time, which means that we were dialoguing with many wonderful things in the several programs in which we featured him. And the Soul Center is the sum of the many gifts of the Spirit, and we are called to share those gifts and in the ways in which we understand the world around us, in the ways in which we would try to insert faith life into the public square, and to have a conversation by which all of us benefit and are blessed. We are the fruits of the vine. The Soul Center is University Presbyterian Church's fruits. When you look down upon this plot of ground from on high, you see all of these amazing educational centers spread out across this area of San Antonio, and the Soul Center is one of those fruits of the vine that is unique to this church and this congregation, and the fact that it has now moved into a 30th year service is positively phenomenal, for which we should all take great pride, because it could not be something that we guaranteed from the start. It rather was a means, the Soul Center, of taking these gifts that we have been given at University Presbyterian Church, the physical bricks and boards of University Presbyterian Church, and like the Children's Center before us, to take something that's the church's property and turn it into something that's for the greater good around us. Well, similarly, the Center for Education was turned into a means of addressing the wider community through the Soul Center, that we might have conversations to bring greater spirit into the life of the San Antonio community. And for all of these things, we are blessed.
Wow. Wonderful statements there. Wonderful.
Do you have
Gosh.
anything?
Huh?
Do you have anything, Ewan?
Me?
I mean, any questions that I didn't?
No. I mean, it's all. This is all I have here. You know, I mean, everything you said was great. Was when we went up there in that tower.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
What's this? Was this building? Was that building built yet?
No, it wasn't.
No.
No,
That was empty
no.
land there, wasn't
We
it?
weren't there yet.
Yeah. Ah. No, we were recording. But do you have? Are you? What's it?
Okay.
Yeah, she left. She
Okay.
came and went.
So it would be, just because I want to honor the fact that Melanie is here.
Okay. Oh yes. I know you.
Yeah, she's like, only one.
Only one? Oh.
Only one. They have just
Lucky you.
prognosticated.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me see. I don't know what else. I mean, we could talk for an hour.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
we can't.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to, you know, I was to almost, you know, because you were, you know, it was all that campaign that we did to get that building built. right?
It was
And then
multiple.
came the-
It was multiple campaigns,
And
right? It was
then
two
came
two
the
consecutive, and a third one planned on top of it,
That's
right?
right. It was quite an effort.
Right, right. Well, and
But,
that's not really germane to this in the sense
Well,
that
it's kind of, I mean,
I was part of the fundraising apparatus
that's right.
to help to build that,
build it.
and I was working with you because the
That was the
videos
first
were
one.
essential.
Remember, we did a couple of those.
That's right. Well,
Three.
celebrating the journey was one,
That's right.
Uh,
That was it.
and
That was the
then
first
there was another one
Yeah. that was-
before that,
Okay.
I think. And yeah, because '96 was about when I started, and so the mid-range planning committee, the first capital campaign, the second capital campaign, which I believe was celebrating the journey,
Yeah.
and then we got Soul up and running
Right.
in 2001.
Right.
I assume that the reason they're calling this the 20th anniversary is because of the lost year.
Yeah.
That's really what
Yeah. It
this
would have
is.
been last year, but everything was shut down here. So,
Right,
yeah,
right,
I mean, it
right,
was
right,
all-
right, right.
So they sort of just they did the celebration now.
A lot of, I mean,
For last year.
you get like soccer tournaments that are in the wrong year. It's like,
Right,
what's
that's
going
right.
on? It's
That's-
like, well, it's
that's
all
why.
because it's
That's
all
why,
because of the
'cause-
lockdown.
Yeah,
So-
everything was shut. It was we were shut down longer than most places here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even with the David Davis
Yeah.
service, I know that we had one instance of a COVID breakout that day. You know, so it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
So you came to that, so you saw they did a lot of work in the sanctuary. That slowed everything. We didn't get back in there till after that was all done. So
Right.
it was it was almost 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's there is what you wound up with is
It's
pretty
nice.
spectacular.
Yeah, I didn't know you were at the service.
yeah. I was going to wave
upstairs.
to. Well, I was talking to Jeanette Clark,
Ah.
and so I hadn't seen her because of
Right.
COVID and because she's taking care of her husband and
Sure.
can't be at risk and
Sure.
you know of having this. So anyway, I got tied up with Jeanette, but I saw you up there walking around with
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
doing
I
the
was there.
technical stuff.
It was I was alone up there.
Yeah,
Usually
right.
that's
You know, as I well understand how that is. So it's like
It's a little
kind of I wanted to Christian. I feel for you. I got your back, dude.
But,
Not really, but I do. Not really. I'll pray for you, but that's
But well, anyway, is there anything else you wanted to say? I mean, you don't want to talk about the future, right? I mean, we're just. I mean, unless you want to have something to say about that.
I think the roots business is the best way to talk about the future because it puts the seed in people's minds that hey, you know, this is something special.
Yeah.
I mean, and kind of you know
And
you having a
actually,
special
you're
day. And
encapsulating it very
right,
well.
right.
So
I'm just trying to
that-
boil it down.
Put it in a real
Obviously-
spiritual sense that
obviously
others
Lib-
are not really touching on
And
that.
obviously, Lib's going to do some of that.
Yeah.
If she's a speaker, she's going to do some of that
Oh yeah.
and provide some context. But it's is really the reason why I invoked your name right at the beginning is underscoring this is a lay enterprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yes, Dawn runs it now, but the first 6 years plus, it was not run by ministerial.
No. Yeah. Actually, she's the only, and she got her
Correct.
ordination after.
Correct.
That's a
Yes.
recent thing.
Right.
And,
Right.
but-
Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that
Oh, yeah.
that
It's
that
just-
that
not
it's all of
pastor
our
that runs
gifts.
it.
It's not just you guys go do that. It's rather like we do
We all
that.
do it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people share the best of themselves, right? The beauty of the Soul Center is that we bring our gifts to the table and we share them with everybody else. Which is to say that all of us can potentially make a contribution because we have unique relationships. I had a unique relationship with Jacques Rozon, who was 100 years old when I knew him. And to bring him to the Soul Center in that congregation, and Jacques was an atheist, but to sit in a congregation and to have him talk about his illustrious life, and some people don't know who he is, he's basically, think of Albert Einstein quality brilliance, and that's what he is to the literary world of his day, of the 20th century in the United States. And to have Jacques Rozon at 100 in our sanctuary, talking about his life and all the people who he has known and so forth, and doing it in a context of a faith community was something special. You did the video for that yourself, right?
It's coming back to me.
Right, right. And
It's like, wow.
we all have these. We all have these. Well, you and your video, everything you've done for Matson in one. Is it still Matson?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so
Still there.
well, yeah.
It's fine.
It's a great niche for you.
Yeah.
It's the logical place.
Yeah.
And so to bring your gifts to this community, and particularly now that you have the digital worship and all that happens, to bring the things that you can do, maybe alone relative to many members of the congregation. I mean, that I think is the work of Saul, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the classroom. It can be such as a behind the scene role that you lead, or the behind the scene role that the Soul board members and the ambassadors and all of these lovely people who participate in the life of this thing, who may not be members of University Presbyterian Church. They may become members of University Presbyterian. There is no requirement or expectation of that. We are able to gather a flock of like souls with these similar interests. And I always thought of them as learning communities. You're gathering these people together to pursue a learning community on a subject that is related to our core understandings of faith, but also engaging the world around us. And so in that sense, it's an extension of what the church does, an extension of our ministry that allows each of us to play a role.